I understand what she did because I used to be her. Welcome or welcome back to another episode of The Resilient Life with Rosie. There is a lot of talk right now about Tyrese Gibson and Samantha Lee. I totally understand Samantha Lee, but not in the way you think I do. I understand what she did because I used to be her. The craziest part about her is that she is one, a licensed therapist, but yet was unable to use the techniques that she learned upon herself. And as a mindset coach and a physician associate, I have learned a lot of things about medicine, which make me a control freak in the sense of I know what not to do so I don't get certain illnesses or diseases. And I became a mindset coach because of the things I overcame. And I want to help others who have that similar mindset of allowing thoughts and emotions to affect them. Even though Samantha has sparked a lot of talk recently from her recent podcast appearance, she was on another podcast called Dear Future Wifey 2 years ago. And I remember watching that and I rewatched it today to give more insight. I did also watch some, not the full episode of her recent podcast because I just didn't want to. And the thing that she mentioned, which I would like to discuss, is the fact that she is aware that she made a permanent decision on a temporary emotion. And I know for me, I was that person. I made a lot of decisions because I felt lonely, I felt scared, I felt angry, and I made decisions that affected my future. And the crazy part about Samantha Lee, minus the fact that she is a licensed therapist. Well, there's a lot of crazy things about this whole thing. But one is that she is aware of her family background. She mentioned on Dear Future Wifey that her family background is built on bitterness, holding grudges, and unforgiveness. So if you're aware of all of that as a therapist and as a human being, wouldn't you want to do work on yourself prior to getting married? As a single person, I'm on this journey of making sure I am healing a lot of parts of me. Of course, we won't ever be fully healed until we go to the Lord, but we could become whole. And I believe she was not whole and not healing, even though she says she is a Christian. I don't know. Only Jesus knows that part. But when I hear her speak, and I've heard Tyrese Gibson's conversation on Sway, which I would highly recommend you listen to. It's sad that Samantha Lee is getting a lot of airplay, but if you listen to Tyrese Gibson interview on Sway, it will give a lot of insight to everything. And I listened to him as well after I listened to her. And he made this comment of the fact that on the day that she decided to leave the marriage, as a therapist, she was counseling someone else and telling them not to leave their marriage. The whole time you are packing up boxes to leave your husband, and the person noticed what she was doing and she lied to the person to say, "Oh, I'm just packing up some stuff." So if that person knew the truth, who knows how this conversation would be by now, but you lied to someone who could have helped you, and now you sitting on a podcast years later saying you regret your decision because you made your decision on a temporary emotion. You was very highly emotional, and that as a woman, you should have been not, I mean, yes, She and women, period, should be aware of when you're emotional. Do not make a decision. That's when you pause and put yourself in a corner. I know for me, because I am very now in tuned to myself, because I wasn't before. I used to just react and I didn't care. And then it was brought to my attention that, hey, you're an emotional person. And then I said, okay, let me think about every decision I make, because I used to run a lot. Run in the sense of, if I got pissed off, I wouldn't talk to a person. And or if I was in a relationship with a person and I didn't like what was going on, I would say, you know what, this is done. I don't want to be with you anymore. And then I'll end the relationship. I made a permanent decision on a temporary feeling, on a temporary emotion. And one of the things I learned about myself once, as I mentioned earlier, I became in tuned. I noticed I made a lot of decisions right when my menstrual period was coming. And I told myself, okay, do not make any decisions when your menstrual period is coming. And I became more aware when I was upset about something. And I say, I'll look at my calendar and be, oh, shoot, my period is about to come. Let me chill out. Let me not make any decisions, because this is not the time. So I honestly believe that women, you need to be more aware of your body if you're still having menstrual periods and your hormones, to know when you are highly hormonal, you are highly emotional, you should not be making any permanent life altering decisions. Of course, if you are a man, I need a man to comment, because I feel you have your own menstrual periods. Or maybe it's when your team loses a game. I don't know. But I believe men have their own full moon episodes. Also, what I noticed with her is that she, to me, I am not a licensed psychiatrist, but I do read a lot of books and have looked up a lot about narcissism, and she displays narcissism to the T. And yes, Christian people can be narcissists. And yes, a female could be narcissist. I know there's a lot of hype of men being narcissists, but there are female narcissists out there. I have seen of them. They do exist. Also, another thing that I noticed with emotions is that it's very important to watch your circle of influence and who you go to when you're emotional. She comes from a family background of a lot of unforgiveness and bitterness. So, why would you go to that type of circle for advice about a life altering decision? It's very important that we, men and women, have a circle of influence that is healthy and that will help us. Of course, a lot of people make statements of, oh, you shouldn't go to your family and friends about your marriage. I don't believe that. I believe that you should have a tiny 1 to 2 people circle that will help you when you are emotional. Of course, first, foremost, go to Jesus first. That's the first person you should go to. And then whoever he puts on your heart to go for counsel, that's the person you should go to for counsel, not a unhealthy circle of influence, because then I don't know if she took accountability for her actions or she's putting the blame on her circle of influence. But in the end of the day, you can't blame your circle of influence. You have to take full accountability for the fact that you were emotional and you made a poor decision, which now affects your ex husband and your child. So, here are 3 points that I want to share from my own journey of making sure I'm fully aware of my emotions, and to make sure I don't make a decision based on that emotion. Number one, as I mentioned earlier, Females, do not make a permanent life altering decision on or around your period. Chill out, relax, journal, scream, yell, whatever. Just don't be filing divorce or doing any crazy decisions or go shopping. Do not eat a bunch of food. Do not do anything around or on your period. Number two, know your family pattern and heal from it. As I mentioned earlier, she is fully aware of her family's pattern of unforgiveness. And she even admitted that she had a lot of unforgiveness within herself, which built a wall. And usually, when you have unforgiveness, it builds a wall that you cannot allow love in, and whatever's hurting you cannot exit. And that's what a wall does. And it's very important that you know your family history so then you don't repeat it. There's a lot of people who have a family history of divorces. So then you have to be cognizant of that and say to yourself, okay, what can I do to prevent that? Perfect example, Tyrese said how he knows of his family pattern of alcohol and drugs, so he never partakes in alcohol and drugs. You know your family pattern and you do something about it. That's called growth. That's called healing. It's crazy how there's this statement and it says, when you know better, you do better. And I honestly believe that's false because clearly she knows better. She's a therapist, but clearly she did not do better. I believe honestly that when you know better and when you're ready to do something with what you know, then you will do better. Have you shared this episode? Make sure you like, comment, and share. I would love to hear your take about this episode. And make sure you listen to past episodes. Also, the third point is to make sure you heal and grow. I had to heal and grow for myself in order to not have my emotions ride me all the time because I'm in control of my emotions, not have my emotions control me. And once I did that, that helped a lot for me to be present and accountable for everything that was happening in my life to make sure, hey, Rosie, you okay? Are you content? Okay, no. Okay, let me see what's going on so then I can have a better reaction and better decision about whatever is coming. It is very important that we make wise decisions from a healed place. Thanks for listening to today's episode. Remember to catch us on our YouTube page, Rosie Resilient, for Tea Time True Time on Saturday. Stay resilient.